welcome to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shanna Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. If you've got a real estate question, give us a call, 281-882-8088, and we'll be happy to answer your real estate questions right here every week on the air. We love talking about real estate, and there's so many interesting things going on right now in the world of real estate, but we're going to take a tiny bit of a break from that today, and we're going to talk about the city of Houston and kind of what's going on with some of the infrastructure issues. We've talked about this before, but we're past the elections now, and there's a lot of work ahead for the city because we have so many people moving here every day, so many people relocating here, and we've seen an increase in housing prices. There's just so many things happening. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I brought in Stephen Costello to talk with us. He's a third-term Houston City Council member at large in position 1. He chairs the council's Budget, Finance, and Fiscal Affairs committees. He's on City Council focusing on issues such as improving the city's long-term financial health, growing access to fresh, healthy food in underserved communities, and increasing green spaces. We all love those outdoor recreational opportunities, and updating and maintaining the city's aging infrastructure, which is something we've talked about many times here on the show. The problems that we have, that we're facing as a city with the water issues that we have, and the transportation and mobility issues. So lots of things to talk about. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
We appreciate you coming on. So back in 2010, Stephen led the charge to pass the Renew Houston initiative, which is now the Rebuild Houston program. It's a pay-as-you-go program to improve Houston's street and drainage infrastructure. This was, when you started, a really important initiative, but we're hearing so much more about it now than we did then. So you had some foresight in thinking ahead about this and the problems that we were going to have as all these people start moving to Houston now that the economy is so robust.
Well, people didn't realize the magnitude of the problem. The city, if you think about it in terms of 620 square miles, 16,000 lane miles of streets, 3,000 miles of storm sewers and ditches, and we were neglecting it over a number of years, in fact, decades. And so the system was beginning to become aging, and we were having the problems that we're having today. So everything is culminating with problems that we're experiencing today.
So how does Rebuild Houston, how does this initiative improve the quality of life and mobility for the people of the city? How does it affect their day-to-day lives? Rebuild
Houston was developed as a pay-as-you-go program to where we could have more investment into the infrastructure. Prior to Rebuild Houston, we were investing about $100 to $150 million in infrastructure. The way we have set up the program now with the addition of the drainage user fee, today, 2015 FY, we're spending $280 million in infrastructure, and it's projected in 8 years to spend almost $400 million in infrastructure. So it's a long-term investment into a very large, complicated problem.
It is a complicated problem, and what do you think is going to happen with the new Proposition 1, and how are the current elected officials going to get access to that money to be able to use it for infrastructure problems?
Well, Proposition 1 is a statewide initiative for funding of TxDOT highway improvements. What we're seeing locally is because of the fact that the highways are being congested, that travelers are now taking local streets to get where they need to go. So we really need more infrastructure investment in terms of added capacity as well as maintenance. What we're seeing as Proposition 1, which as an engineer I'm obviously supporting it, is because TxDOT needs $5 billion every year for infrastructure improvements, which is both for added capacity and maintenance. This proposition will get them about $1.7 billion. So
just a little piece of the pie.
Just a little piece of the pie. And then, so what's going to happen as they move into the legislative cycle in January, there's going to be an ongoing discussion about adding some more money to that pot moving forward.
So as a legislator, you have to apply for this money. You have to have a plan for it to be able to access it, right?
The way the City of Houston operates with our sister organizations, which would be Harris County, Metro, and TxDOT, there are a number of opportunities to where we work collectively on projects. Most of the money that TxDOT will be using for highways, but we have several roads that are actually in the highway system that are actually in the City of Houston, one of them being Westheimer. Another one being Cullen Boulevard. So those are projects where we will jointly work together with TxDOT to solicit funds to help build those and improve those streets.
Let's go back to the Rebuild Houston initiative. How do you pick your projects for that? How do you figure out what's next for rebuild, what needs to be done? I mean, there's so many things all over the city. How do you pick a project?
Well, initially, when we started the program in 2011, we honored the existing 5-year CIP program because those projects have been in the hopper for many, many years. Now we're phasing out of that because now we're going into the 5th and 6th years. And so what we've created is a database of complaints that we're getting from the community, whether it's through street flooding, whether it's through house flooding, whether it's through poor streets. And we're developing a needs-based analysis of the entire city. And so we're ranking projects where we never did that before in the past. And so as we're ranking projects, we then do the analysis, we do the engineering design, and then we then have another series of rankings for what we call cost-benefit relationships to see how we impact the community. And then those projects come into the hopper to actually do work. The projects that didn't make that year's cut will then go back in for another evaluation the following year. So we're doing this year after year.
And you're not allowing businesses to see that ranking, right?
Well, actually, we are.
So they can pick and choose where they want to build based on how good the streets are going to be?
Well, we always encourage everybody to go to the city's website, and we have Rebuild Houston, an icon on the website. And, you know, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to those types of activities on the website. And if I can find it, everybody else can. And on the website, we actually have identified what we call a 5+5, which is a 10-year program. And so we direct people to see what projects we're working on in the first 5 years and what projects we think we're going to be working on in the next 5 years.
Okay. Well, the city has currently a lot of debt. From looking at the website, $1.7 billion in debt due to bonds for street rebuilding and drainage. Does that sound right?
Yes. In fact, the total debt of the city of Houston is a little over $13 billion, but associated with the general fund, which is tax supported, it's about $3.3 billion. Of that, streets and drainage were $1.7. So now what we're doing is we're doing a pay-as-you-go. And so as we pay off that $1.7 in debt, the balance of the money we will use for capital improvements.
One of the issues is that the fact that we're paying off debt on these bonds for roads that were built, and the roads need repairs before the bonds are even paid off, right?
Well, historically, what the city was doing prior to Rebuild Houston was we were selling about $100 million worth of debt annually, but we would do it in 5 or 6 year increments. But the system is so large and it was decaying at such a rapid rate, we weren't keeping up with the system. So that's what's happening now, is that the system is decaying quicker than we have the resources. And so we hope over the series of 20 years, which is what Rebuild Houston is designed to do, we think we can replace about 60% of the system. Obviously, after that 20 year, we'll have to make another decision on what we do with the program.
Do you feel like this program is working over the 5 years that since its induction? You feel like it is working?
Well, the challenges that we've had is, first of all, it passed by a very thin margin. So there are a lot of people that are very skeptical of the system and the analysis that we're doing. And it's slow to build up in terms of resources. And so we are trying to do a better job of communicating to the public how the money's coming in and how we're spending it, so that we can encourage people to go to the website and get a better appreciation of the challenges that we have and the successes that we're making along the way.
Do you think that this is a program that could be affected by the next mayor that goes into Houston? Is this a program that could be done away with, or it cannot be changed?
No, we actually purposely set it up as a charter amendment. We had the general public vote on it, so it's actually in place for 20 years.
Okay.
And so when it got passed, I actually told the mayor that this is going to be her legacy, but she's not going to realize the benefit, because the out years is where all the money's going to be and where all the larger projects are going to take place.
Very interesting. All right, real quickly, can you tell us where the funding comes from?
Well, we have 4 sources of money. First is the drainage user fee. We get about $120 million on the drainage user fee.
Okay.
The pay-as-you-go, as we pay down the debt, we'll get extra money. This year we're going to get $35 million from that. We get about a little over $100 to $120 million from Metro, which is a quarter-cent rebate back on the sales tax revenue. And then the fourth source of money is a developer impact fee. As they redevelop parts of the city, they pay us an impact fee on the drainage.
Okay, we've got to go to a quick break, but we'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio. If you missed any of the show, you can go to HoustonRealEstateRadio.com and see the videos. We'll be right back.
Hey, I have a question for you. Just how hot is your garage in the summer? Yep, thought so. Hot. Hot. And even hotter, right? So what if I told you that there's a product that can now help keep your garage cool? Introducing WindyVent, a revolutionary passive garage ventilation system that works off thermal airflow to allow free airflow in during hot summer months and can be closed to keep the cold out in the winter. WindyVents are sold in pairs and install in as little as 30 minutes. Get your revolutionary WindyVents today and say no to your hot garage. You don't have to leave your garage door up to cool your garage anymore. Vent it 24/7 with WindyVents. To get yours now, go to windyvent.com. Get 10% off your order. Just enter the word Shannon as your coupon code. Don't wait. Go to windyvent.com. windyvent.com. That's 2 E's. windyvent.com. Installation not included. See windyvent.com for certified installers and for more information. Restrictions may apply. See website for details.